How you hanging in there with the corona, bud? Little quarantine action? That's your life anyway, bro. This is all you do all the time. All right, you do this. I got good things to do. What's going on, boys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are living corona-free, enjoying your time in isolation. I hope you guys are doing well and nothing horrible has come from this. But in the meantime, I hope you guys want some E36 content because I got a good one today. I'm so stoked about this. The big brake kit that I've had on order since mid-February from UUC. I'm not gonna, maybe I'll talk about them later. Finally, actually, you know what? I haven't even checked the box. Let me check the box. All right, there it is. She big and she red. That's what I was looking for. That is light too, that's not that heavy at all. Nice. And then we got new brake lines, front and rear. Ooh, okay. Hardware. And some super high temp fluid. This stuff actually showed up way before the other stuff. So we got Hawk HPS pads, slotted rotor number 1, slotted rotor number 2. These are big. Dude, I'm so stoked for this. In this box right here, I actually have the rear diff for the S2000. And it's not a new rear diff, it's a used one. It has about 66,000 miles on it, but I'll show you why. I think this is just gonna be a big brake video, but maybe if I really get inspired, maybe I'll do the diff tonight too, but I think I'm gonna stick to just the big brake kit. So, if you're new to the channel, this is my 1995 E36 M3 with, man, a lot of stuff done. S54, I redid the brakes, but I just refreshed them. And I refreshed them using like a refresh kit from ECS probably about a year ago. Stainless lines on there already, new rotors, new pads. But man, every time I've gone to a track, they've always, if you go any type of speed, like a high speed track, they instantly turn the rotors blue. They're just not a very good, it's not a very good setup for tracks. So this is really gonna help me out. I'm super, super stoked for this. I didn't get rear, I just got front. I'll probably leave the rears where they are and just see how this combination works out. But I don't think it should be too difficult, but then again, there's literally no directions. So I'm just gonna dive into it. I'm gonna get this thing jacked up on jack stands. And the S2000 just kinda lives on jack stands for right now. I'm always doing something to it because it's my newest project, but it's in great shape. I love this thing. It's just, I never realized how fast the E36 was until I drove the S2000, because the S2000 is so slow. It's really slow. I didn't really go into what I got in depth. This is the WilWood super light kit, 4-piston caliper. And I got the steel rotors slotted, not cross drilled. And it came with the lines and the pads. But this setup alone, this entire setup with the 4-piston super light, if you're to get just the regular black, you don't go for the powder coated red like I did. If you get just black, you can get all of this for under $1,000. There was a coupon code involved in that, but I think they always allow that coupon code. And again, that's through UUC. I'll tell you more about UUC after I get to the end of this video, but it's a good deal. Big brake kit for under $1,000. I know there is an optional, or you can get like a Porsche big brake kit that involves some machine work to get the 996 rotors or to get the 996 calipers to work. That involves some machine work. I wanted to try something that was easy off the shelf, that's supposed to be just a bolt-on for this. So I'm gonna dive into it. And again, for under $1,000, you really don't have many options in terms of big brake kit. And WilWood is a company that's been around for a long time. I know some of you guys are probably gonna say, you know, StopTech's better, Brembo's better, AP Racing, those are all probably better. they're way more expensive. They're $2,500 to $3,000. So this is under $1,000 bucks, 950 bucks ish, and you get good parts. So I'm curious to see how this all mounts up. There's no instructions that come with how to install this, just a bag of hardware. So we're gonna dive into it, see what it's like. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just take off the original assembly. The pain in the butt part is they really don't give you any instructions with this, so you're kind of just gonna have to figure it out on your own. And I mean, you got some spacers. Some of these look like crush washers, but I'm not sure exactly what they are. A random bolt right there. I'm gonna figure that out. These definitely are some sort of spacer. And then all the big boy bolts. So I think first step, either way, take off the original assembly. So I'll do that. All right, so one of the things that I've been told, all right, if your brakes are overheating, one of the things you can do is remove this brake dust shield. Now the only problem is you have to cut it. Unless you're pulling this hub off, you have to cut this. So that's what I'm gonna do, because I don't really care about brake dust. The only downside to this, if you remove it, it will keep your rotors and braking system cooler. More air will be able to come through that and hit the backside of the rotor. Now, if you really want brake duct cooling, you have to get a hose that attaches to that and mount it where this heat shield is, or where this dust shield is. That attaches like right up against the actual rotor itself. But removing this will help cool that. The only problem is just trying to cut it. So that's what I'm gonna do now. All right, boys, so I figured out how this all goes, and let me just say it's a little bit of a puzzle when you've never put one together before and you've never seen what it is. But it's time for dinner. It's late. It is 9 o'clock. Now that I got this figured out and I see how it's mounted, it's gonna be super easy for me to get the other side done. But what I do want to do, even though I gotta go eat dinner, is I want to see what it looks like with a wheel on it. So I gotta see what this is like. Woo! I mean, it's not a big old fat 6-pot caliper, but it's still 4. It'll be more than enough to really do what I need. And that looks good. I know it's not all about looks. It's not about looks at all, but uh-oh.
Dinner's almost ready.
I gotta go. Gosh, I'm so stoked for this. All right, boys, so it is very, very tight fitting. I haven't got to bleeding them yet. But man, I can't even move the caliper, and I'm sure that'll change once, you know, I drive it one time and bed in the brakes, so I'm not too concerned about that. But just the fact that there's no instructions on this really don't help. And I did utilize my old stainless brake line, because this brake line, I don't know what it is, but I could not, let me see if I could not get it to work. This right here goes into the caliper. And even when I would get this screwed into the caliper as tight as I could, fluid was leaking from right here, from this gap right there. And even if I got it super tight to the caliper, it's still gonna leak from right there. So I don't get it. I use my old brake lines and they seem to work fine. They fit into the caliper fine. I haven't checked it for with pressure, so I don't know once I apply pressure if it'll leak from the back where it screws into the caliper, but I guess that's something we'll find out. So I'm going to show you on the other side. Now that I know how this kit mounts up, now I feel comfortable giving you a walkthrough on how to actually mount this, because you spend a little bit of time staring at this like, how does this actually go? So I'm gonna make my way to the passenger side and I'll show you how to mount these and how the brackets and adapters actually work. All right, so first thing you wanna do is just take off the old caliper. And that's just held on by two, I think it's 17s or 19s in the back. And then what I like to do is get something like this, or if you have something better, a big piece of wood, whatever, to set the caliper on, because I don't like to take the brake line off until I'm ready to plug it in, because if you do, then it's gonna just leak oil everywhere, and brake oil's just no joke. So take this caliper off, super easy. All right, 16 it is, lucky number. What's up, boss? I'm under the car. Oh yeah? Yeah, I'm on it.
I'm just gonna set it over here.
Yeah, that's perfect. You don't need me to sign for anything, right?
No.
All right, perfect. Yeah,
that's all.
right there, dude, is good.
All right.
appreciate it, brother. All right, so caliper off, again, super easy. Just set it on this. I mean, it's kind of doing a little balancing act here, but there's not a ton of weight on, oh, there we go. Much easier. There's no weight on this. It's not stretched by any means. So just set it on something. So now you want to take off the rotor, which more than likely you will need one of these, an impact. Let me see if this is right. No, not the right size. I have another size over there. So you'll need an impact to get that off because it turns. Okay, so that's good. All right, so from this point forward, this is where this install might get a little different than what you're doing. I am going to cut right here, right there, and then right under there to remove this dust shield. Generally speaking, if you're gonna run piping or hosing from the front of the bumper to the brake duct or to the brake itself, you'll want to remove the hub assembly itself, and then you'll be able to put on like a special unit that it's basically like a dust shield but used for airflow from the front bumper. An alternative to that, if you aren't going to do brake ducting right now, is just remove the dust shield. Yes, it will produce a little more dust, but it will also help with airflow. It'll help cool the rotor a little bit. More junk will get in there, but it will help cool the rotor. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my Dremel and just kind of Dremel that out. For this, I would suggest face mask and eye protection because it gets dirty.
I just went through all of that and forgot to hit record. Oh, there were sparks, everything was happening. Oh.
Now that I have this cut off, what I'm gonna do is take a little grinding wheel and just fix these sharp edges all the way around. All right, so these right here are where the old caliper mounted, right? These holes right here. You're gonna take this bracket that is supplied with the kit, and the bottom and not top, but the third hole are going to go in that, right? But you're gonna put a spacer there. I'll show you. All right, so here's what you want. You want this bracket. You want 2 of the long bolts that they give you, 2 of the washers that are going to go on the bolts, and then 2 of these little spacers. They're thick spacers, okay? You're going to put one of the bolts in, one of the spacers in, and get this adapter screwed in. Don't screw it all the way in, just let it hang down like this. Then you're going to get the other bolt, the other washer, boom. Stick it up on that one, put the other spacer in there, rotate this up, and boom. Now, they do provide this thread locker, so I'm gonna put some thread locker in between there as well. There's definitely a little bit of room left over on these threads, so I put the thread locker kind of near the middle. All right, so now that that is done, now it's time to put the rotor on. And they give you a new screw to stick in here. I don't know what it's called, but they give one to you. All right, so rotor on, good to go. Now what we can do is get the caliper mounted. So the caliper will mount, I don't know if you, on the top hole from that adapter, and then the middle hole in between the original 2 mounting spots. So you'll mount it here and here. They give you 2 medium-sized nuts and 4 washers. So what I've been doing is putting one on the outside of the adapter and then in between the adapter and the caliper as well. So now with that done, what I do is leave the mounting bolts a little loose, give a little more wiggle room to slide in the pads. Then you're gonna put this on the back of the pads, like normal. All right, so we got it mounted. Like, these are super, super tight. So I know, you know, it's going to, once I bed them in, it'll be better, but yeah, they're super, super tight as is right now. So the only thing I have to do now is put in this like kind of like retaining bolt that goes across here to keep the pads in. This little piece in between, and then this goes in there. After you tighten this down, and next is get the brake line attached to the back of the caliper here. All right, boys, brake line installed. The only thing is, man, this fitment, I mean, it is very, very tight on initial install. I mean, like very, very tight. Like, that shit don't move at all. I don't know, I'll bed them in, but now I have to bleed the brakes. And there's a certain procedure. I believe you start at the back passenger and then work your way. I'll let you know what it is, because I'm not sure. All right, so here it is from the manual itself. You start right rear, then left rear, right front, then left front. And if you're unfamiliar, you do right and left as if you're in the car. So the right is the passenger and the left is driver. Now I have a pressure bleeder, so I'm gonna get that set up. And here's the fluid I'm gonna be using. It's Racing R622. It's Sparta fluid, and I didn't read much on it, but it is high temp, .4 racing fluid, and that's what you want. There's a lot of guys that run Motul and other stuff like that. This is what was offered on the same website, UUC, so I figured I'd give it a try. So we're gonna run that, but first thing I have to do is actually fill it in the pressure bleeder. All right, brake bleeding is done. I didn't record that because you may do that a different way. You know, I use the pressure bleeder, so you just pump it up and it uses pressure to force new fluid through the system. Yeah, so I do that. The only thing to note on these WilWood is there are 4 different bleeder screws. It doesn't matter which you do, top or bottom, as long as you do inboard and outboard. So just make sure to do that. I did inboard and outboard, both of them. And yeah, it seemed to work well. So now it's just getting this beast back down on the ground. All right, there she is, back down on the ground. You know, I don't know if I would call this a big brake kit. It's kind of like a mini big brake kit. I mean, a 6-piston would definitely look better under there. But for under 1,000, well, mine was, whew, that is very, very close. Like extremely, extremely close. We're good, but boy, is it close. And remember too, I'm running a 10mm spacer up front. So if you get this, remember, 10mm spacer from me. So now what we have to do is go find a spot where we can bed in these brakes, because what you have to do is make like 6 to 8 to 10 aggressive stops. You don't want to stop all the way, but you want to stop like from 45 down to 15, then 55 down to 15, then 65 down to 15, and you want to do that pretty rapidly and aggressively. But I don't have anywhere where I can really do that, especially the 60. Ooh, and they're dragging really hard. Well, unfortunately, I think there's a reason this brake kit's under $1,000. No, okay, I don't want to get those type of vibes. Listen, things happen. So that weird noise that I was telling you about that I was hearing and feeling, definitely not good. It was on the passenger side, and I took apart the system to see what it was, and basically the rotor itself was rubbing on the underside, or the inside of the caliper. Now this is a simple bolt-on kit. There shouldn't have been a way for this to really happen. I took apart both sides to see. Now before I go any further, let me say I don't think that's going to be permanent damage. Yeah, it's obviously ugly when you take it off, but I don't think it would stop the kit from working properly once I get this fixed. But here's what the issue is. Here are the brackets. Here are the brackets for the kit. This bracket, the one on top, These two bolts right here are where it mounts to the stock location. These two are what the caliper mount on. So it moves the caliper, right? From the stock location to there. This one where the passenger side was on the passenger side, though this location is slightly lower than this one. Same with this mount hole as well. So they're slightly lower, which then brings the rotor slightly further down, and it was hitting it, not on this side, but on the other side. So there's no way I can fix that. There's no way I can do anything to manipulate that at all. So all I have to do now is email UUC, call UUC, see if they can get me a new bracket, a new adapter to mount onto this side, because it's not gonna work. Again, the damage isn't horrible. I mean, the rotor kind of got a little jacked up, not much, it'll be fine. The caliper has those rub marks. I mean, it's not good, but it's pretty smooth for what it is, and it's not going to destroy the integrity of it. I would love to get this finished and installed and give you a review on it, but with everything that's going on in the world, I don't know when I'll be able to get one of those brackets. So is this a good option for under $1,000? I still think it is. With that being said, I am partially to blame on this too, because I should have caught that before I went for a drive. I knew it was dragging, but I thought it was because the pads were tight on the rotor. I didn't visually look to see that the rotor was dragging on the caliper itself, and that was my fault. So I could have stopped it from actually causing damage to the caliper, and I should have. I didn't catch that. So it is partially my fault, definitely more their fault for making those brackets incorrect, or one of them. But again, that is something that I should have seen after install. So lesson learned there, boys. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this one, because like I said, I don't know when I'll be able to get another one of those brackets. So I'll get this out. Hopefully you like this. At the end of the day, I'm still stoked on this. I still think it'll be a good kit once it's finished and ready to go. But for right now, I'm gonna have to hold off on completing it. So if you're new to the channel, guys, smash that subscribe. I got this I'm working on, and then I do have something for the S2000 as well. So that will, that project's not gonna stop. Yeah, and I hope you guys are doing well, man. Stay safe out there. I know it's crazy times. Things will get better. So I hope you guys are staying positive. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.